Sup guys? In this video, I'll be covering my Regensburg meta tier list and also briefly talk about the Dead or Alive collaboration. I had already updated my seasonal tier list to the Regensburg meta one, but didn't get around to making the video until now. It's really similar to the Udachi meta one because they're both light armor bosses, with mechanics that have to do with factors outside of the ship choices. So in the Udachi meta one, it was using fire extinguishers, and in this one, it's making sure that you don't have a ship, especially in the Vanguard, with multiple of the highest stats in the fleet. The only major differences are that Chapayev doesn't do anything in this one since it's not a destroyer, and there's also been the addition of Lexington II and William D. Porter. I'm going to be focusing on these differences because I think I've already talked about things like Lion and Alsace being very good enough times given how many light armor bosses we've had recently. Lion's still the GOAT obviously, she can fit into any style of fleet and be the highest contributing member, but after that, I actually have Lexington II and Yorktown II because I found them to be the most consistent damage-wise. Lexington provides a route so you can run a higher damaging ship than Eldridge in the Vanguard, since you won't need her slow. The fleet that I've been favoring recently is just the top 3 ships in the S tier of Main and Vanguard, so that's obviously going to factor into their placements. The reason I've been favoring Line over Kearsarge even with the USS carriers is because Line has an accuracy buff, and by stacking all of the accuracy equipment possible on her, she becomes the ship with the highest accuracy in the fleet. This way, my Aurora doesn't have any stacks of the debuff, which means she doesn't take the extra 10% damage that should otherwise be a given in this fight, allowing her to survive consistently even without Eldridge. The same can be done with Kearsarge, but it requires a bit more tinkering. Perhaps you might need to even lower the accuracy fleet tech on your Vanguards, so I just prefer Lion. The 3 USS ships also restrict team building more so than Lion, so they cannot be above Lion. Then, Alsace and Fritz Rume are still perfectly capable, but if you run the old fleet of Lion, Alsace, and Rume, then I feel like you do need Eldridge's slow for hit rate consistency. But if you do run Eldridge, then the damage feels a little bit shaky, just because of how much HP the boss has. Although by shaky, I mean you might miss a one-shot every 20 runs or so with the best setup, so it's not really an issue. But I think the Lexington and Yorktown fleets are just ever so slightly better due to not having issues with landing everything. All the ships after these have been covered in the Kawakaze and Udachi meta videos, so there isn't much else to add. They're mostly just good options against any light armor boss. Now let's move on to the third iteration of the Dead or Alive collab. Gameplay-wise, I think it's safe to assume that like all collaboration ships, with the exception of Kurumi from Dead Alive, that they're just going to be solid SSR ships that are quite capable in campaign, at least up to chapter 15. So if you like these characters, then by all means, feel free to raise and use them. However, don't expect them to be on par with Rainbow Rarity ships. I don't really have much knowledge of this franchise, so I'm probably not going to be using them much, and as of making this video, the wikis haven't been updated yet. But if there turns out to be an exceptionally useful ship like Kurumi from the last collab, then I'll let you know about it. More importantly, let me go over some of these new skins. I just want to share my 3 favorite ones from this batch. First up is the Ibuki skin. It's just a really good looking skin with a nice pose. There are some changes to her proportions, but they didn't just make her chest bigger or something like that. Instead, she's gotten taller. Both her legs and torso look longer than some of her older skins, especially the base one. But I actually prefer these proportions, so even more reasons to like it. It kind of feels like she's grown up a bit, and it's quite wholesome for a swimsuit skin. Next up is the North Carolina skin. I really like how her boobs droop over the balloon. It makes them look very soft. I think there are a lot of things you can do with boobs besides making them bigger to make them more appealing, and this right here is a perfect example to illustrate that. The last skin I want to highlight is the Elise skin, another Kurumi masterpiece. The anatomy looks amazing, and I think body jewelry is really sexy, but my favorite part has got to be the footwear. Okay, that's about it for this video. I'm gonna go back to grinding the event now. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.